I'm Nicole Papiano from Your Instructional Designer, and I'm here today with Stella Lee. Stella, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure, Nicole, thank you so much for having me today. I've been an independent consultant. I run my own consulting firm called Paradox Learning for the past 6 years. What I do, I was just joking with you a little bit ago to say it changes from day to day now. Primarily, I work with large organizations in consulting with their e-learning or digital learning strategies. A lot of time I go in from a technological implementation or evaluation perspective, but eventually I dig a little bit deeper with these organizations and I realize they need governance, they need content audit, they need to sort of look at the overarching learning strategy. So I end up working with them on different aspects of e-learning, from strategy to implementation to learning evaluation. I also work with startups. A lot of them are educational technology companies to help them develop their products and guide their development efforts as well. So that's primarily what I do.
That's
As of
really
today.
cool. As of today, right?
Exactly.
And so how did you get into this line of work?
Oh, wow. It's a really long story. I'm going to try to, give you the abridged version of it. I started out in academia. So I was at universities for a very long time. I always loved learning. I came from a creative background. I have a BFA in studio art. So I was trained as a painter actually. And then I kind of found my way eventually into computer science. And so I ended up doing my PhD in computer science, focusing on digital learning. So I always kind of look for the intersection, the Venn diagram where you have the intersection of things that I love and that things I can actually do. So my has always been design, technology, and education. So I think how I found my way in is e-learning just seems to fit everything. I've been in academia for a very long time and I decided I'm curious what the rest of the world work like, and so I left academia and went into corporate learning. And after a few years of that, I decided I make a terrible employee, so I thought I would just start out on my own. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to able to have a variety of projects, and so that's how I kind of, without really having any plan, I just ended up where I am now.
I'm sure you weren't a terrible employee, but I do know what you mean.
Well, I like variety. I like to, push the envelope. I like to do things differently. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll make a good employee somewhere, but it hasn't been the case.
You're just a really strong leader. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, that's very kind of you.
So I find it so interesting because you so rarely find people who start in like studio arts and move into computer science and then find learning is such an interesting way of moving around. But at what point did it become clear to you that like digital learning was going to be a thing that you could do?
Well, it's interesting. I think, and to people that are perhaps interested in e-learning and instructional design, you don't have to start there. I think, to me, growing up, they're always the same thing. I'm just interested in these things. It wasn't like, oh, this is art, this is science, this is math. It's just, you're doing a large scale painting, you need to plan it. You need to think about a lot of different things. There's logic to it, right? And to me, I always love technology. I grew up playing with robots, and it's, to me, that's art too. And so I didn't even think about that. And I love learning. So I just thought always, let's explore how I can integrate what my passions are, what my interests are. And I guess also I was at the right place at the right time when digital learning and online platforms were start to mature and it became mainstream. So I think at university level, a lot of organizations and colleges and universities will start putting online content. They were wondering how they can best design and put the content out there, what kind of training and faculty support they can get. So for the first 3 or 4 jobs I held, I was always the first person who held that job title. So they were like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. You're like an e-learning specialist. We don't know what that really means. Can you help us figure that out? and so I think it's still true to this day. I think for people that are starting out or already in this field for sometimes, often people come to us for solutions, right? They were like, we have this problem. We need you to figure this out. I think there's still a lot of potentials for digital learning, and I think we're just barely scratching the surface now. So it's from now until, I don't know, the foreseeable future. I can see, this is a potentially good trajectory, and I never know. I just go along as I discover more, and I start connecting the dots and say, okay, yeah, that makes sense to do training for this kind of knowledge. It makes sense to do coaching and mentoring for this kind of knowledge. So it's just it's very organically it developed, and as you get more experience, it's just you kind of see the bigger picture.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Is there one thing that, is coming over the horizon that you feel like people should be learning about and thinking about?
One thing?
There are a lot of things.
Oh, wow. It's such an interesting time for this question as well. I think, especially now, everybody, it's so interesting this time because everybody that I know are working from home. Well, maybe not everyone, but the majority of us are now. I've been working from home. I know, Nicole, you've been working from home, but there's a lot of people that haven't been are now remote workers. So I think it's a very interesting time for us in the e-learning industry to start thinking about how can we support people at work, like a home-based work performance issues. And I think the trend would be there will be a lot of data points now to kind of collect and try to make sense of, okay, people were in an office before and now everybody's working at home. Are there differences in the way they perform their jobs? Are they learning differently? So there's a lot of data points we can collect and analyze and feed it back to the workforce to help design better learning for them. So I think learning analytics, it's going to be even more needed now than ever. Especially we need to be smart about allocating resources. We need to be smart about understanding what people need. We don't, everybody's cutting budgets. So we need to be very mindful in, saying I know this is the training they need based on this data, based on this evidence, based on this piece of fact. So I think that will be big. I see a lot of artificial intelligence applications. I think there's a lot of hype and promises on that. So now this is a time to really test and see what are they doing any good, because we really need something that hits the ground running. We really need something that can help achieve our goals. We can talk about things that perhaps it's nice to have, but it's not practical yet. So I think as AI matures, it will become just like anything else. The hypes will kind of, dies down, and then the essentials is going to what propel us forward and really, maximize the potential of AI. So 2 trends, I think. Yeah, I'm sure there are other things.
Yeah, so data analytics and AI and seeing where those essentials in AI help us with the data analytics.
Yeah, and data and AI, like you can't have AI without data. So I think it goes hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on both of them. I've had
Please
a little time.
I am still trying to learn every day. It's just new there's new tools. I think also because of technologies are maturing, there's a lot of plug and play platforms. There's AI tools that you don't have to be a computer scientist, right? You don't need to be a programmer. You can actually just grab it, you can customize it, you can apply it. There are analytics that you can also just use without having to manipulate the data by hand. So I think the maturity of the platforms and the technology, everything is like cloud-based. So it's also, we don't have to worry about storage issues. So I think it's because of all that, just makes it easier.
Definitely, yeah. It's a really exciting time, I think.
Yeah, and it's also a little bit overwhelming because you just never know. Like every time I look, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there's a new thing I never even heard of. And so I think it's just also keeping things up and just sharing that and learning from each other. I think it's really like more of that community-based learning. Now I see that flourishing as well.
I like that, community-based learning. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I loved like we met on LinkedIn, and it's really great that we can now talk in person, and then I can follow your content.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm stoked to have you here, as you know.
Oh no, it's great. This is just a wonderful opportunity to chat with you as well, and to everybody out there.
So before we take it home, I know that was kind of like your piece of advice, but I'm still going to ask you anyway. Is there one piece of advice, maybe it's specific, generic, I don't know, but is there one piece of advice that you would give folks who are either new to this field or thinking about getting into the learning industry?
Oh, I think, yeah, so first of all, I think our field can really benefit from people coming from other disciplines. So don't shy away just because you're not a technologist, just because you're not an educator, just because you're not a designer. I think this field is so interesting precisely because we have so many people adding to it. I work with psychologists, I work with sociologists, I work with philosophers, I work with musicians. I think if you're interested in learning and interested in human development, I think there's so much, like you interview people doing all kinds of things, people that organize conferences, people that do voiceovers, people that develop interactive material, people in virtual reality coming from gaming background. So I think just be open to come, and also people already in the industry to be open to welcome people from other disciplines to come in. And this field changes so much. Be prepared to change with it. Be prepared to just incorporate other knowledge, other discipline perspective. I think that's a good. I take that advice to heart myself, so I'm just sharing that with you guys too.
Absolutely, you have to be a constant learner in the learning industry. I don't think there's any way around that.
And willing to admit that, oh, maybe I was wrong in thinking this way, or maybe this model I've been using is not quite up to date, right? But there's always some updated piece of knowledge that dispelled the old one. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So
and it's a good time to get into the field. So I think that's another one. Other hot tip.
Yes, yeah, it is. It totally is. I mean, I look at LinkedIn all the time just to see what jobs are out there. I don't really plan on taking any, but there's a lot out there.
There is a lot out there. I live in Canada, and I'm in Vancouver. There are tons here too. So and of course now we're all virtual, so it doesn't really matter where you live.
No, opportunities to go around for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. So before I let you off the hook, I just wanted to see if there's anything else that I didn't get to that you wanted to share with the folks who are watching today.
No, I was just having a funny moment about thinking everybody's going to start calling you now, Nicole, for trying to get into the field. No, I just hope everybody is staying safe and healthy. I think let's make use of the time that people are getting their value of online learning, and let's make it a better field. So, yeah.
That's really beautiful. I like that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
oh,
nice.
thank you. That's nice of you. It's great chatting to you. You have great energy. I think I said that to you before, so I'm just gonna put it out there.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today, Stella. It was fantastic to talk to you, and I really enjoyed our conversation. I'm sure the folks have it at home as well.
No, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun chatting, and good luck to the rest of your show.
Thank you. So if you're at home and you want to learn more about Stella and what she does, there's some information in the description box below. Otherwise, thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye now.